Live ad rate tonight, guys. So the boys head back home to Leichhardt this Saturday night for round 17 clash with the Parramatta Eels. And you can, of course, watch all the action live and loud in the lounge and sports bar this Saturday, 9th of July. Kickoff is, of course, at 7:35. And then, of course, you can watch the Game 3 State of Origin, the decider. Can the Mighty Blues take down the Maroons and take home the trophy? You can watch all the action live and loud on the big screen at West Ashfield as well. That's obviously next Wednesday, July 13. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock. So Origin night at West Ashfield, you can enjoy the Gardens State of Origin burger and beer deal for just $19. How good is that? For more information, visit West Ashfield's website, westashfield.com.au. Step up and play at the home of the West Tigers, West Ashfield, 115 Liverpool Road, Ashfield. Members' prices is what we talked about there. So you got to be a member, but you, of course, sign up. Go to West Ashfield, become a member. Terms and conditions apply. Drink responsibly. And welcome into another episode of the WestsLife podcast. I am your host, Josh Barnett. We are obviously previewing the clash this weekend with when the boys take on the Parramatta Eels at Leichhardt Oval. And as always, as I said just in the ad read, then we are sponsored by West Ashfield, the best place to watch the game live and loud. And we can do that Saturday, 7:30. And of course, MG Pump Solutions, Big Shane still, on a big job at the moment. Give us a follow at WestsLife Pod, Instagram, Twitter, patreon.com/WestsLife. Rob and Aaron, the Discord's been, the Discord notifications this week, a lot of chat going on in there this week. So if you want to come join us in the Discord, it's only a couple of bucks a month to support the show. So patreon.com/WestsLife, YouTube, subscribe, like, notifications, all that. See, there's a few people streaming live as we speak, or as I speak right now. And obviously, guys, we promised Shane Walker and Timmy Brasher earlier in the week. Now, I've heard a few reports of a couple of people that attended the race day at Rose Hill on Saturday. Not only did half the races get washed out, but a flu has gone rampant through a few of the guests there, including Timmy and Shane. So, Shane and I organising, trying to get the boys on for next week. So as I bring in my co-host, Rob, you're first online. We'll go to you. How are you on this Thursday heading into this weekend? Can we get another miracle, Rob? That's my headline for tonight. Probably not, but man, if we can get 2 wins over Parramatta, that's almost worth getting the wooden spoon in my eyes. Anyway, God, I hate them.
G'day, Josh. G'day, Aaron. I'm surprisingly okay tonight. Don't think we're going to get any miracle Saturday night, but obviously the worse the weather is, the weather can be a big leveler, of course. So, you can't be as expansive with the ball, etc. Look, I'm not expecting too much. And as I've told you, I'm not going to watch the game live. I'm going to watch a replay from now on. I'm going to start looking after my own health a little bit better. So won't be getting worked up over it. I'll make sure I'm busy and I'll find out what the full-time score is and watch a replay before Monday night or Tuesday night, whenever we do the next pod.
And Aaron, are you heading to the Big Smoke from Orange for the game on Saturday? Will I see you there?
I definitely am heading up. I'm leaving after work tomorrow.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'll be there as well. What are your early? Obviously, we're going to preview this game, but is it going to be a sad drive home this week, or can the boys get it done somehow?
I feel like it probably is going to be a sad drive home. I would like another Easter miracle, or a repeat of the Easter miracle. I'm in a last man standing tipping competition at my dad's pub up in Ermington. There are 7 of us left in it for a $480 prize. 3 of us, me, my dad, and my dad's housemate, have gone the Rabbits. The other 4 have all gone Parra. So that'd be a very nice reason for the Tigers to win. Knock those guys out for me.
How good's that? That gutsy though.
I mean, you're left, mate.
What was that?
There'll be 7 of you left after the weekend.
I have a feeling there will be, but I can dare to dream, can't
I? Yeah. Zig when others zag. Why not? Swing for the fences. Righto, boys. So first topic. Low grades going on this weekend. So New South Wales Cup. Three grades playing at Leichhardt on Saturday, Rob. I know, that's a lot of people like it. The olden days when you had third, second, and what was it, under 21s? What was it back in the olden days, Rob? Under 21s.
Yeah, the first game was under 23s or third grade.
23, sorry.
Yeah, and then reserve.
That's crazy. Like most NRL players by 23 are like 3 years into their career by now.
Yeah, it's really weird. They not started later, but it took them a lot longer to get into first grade in general. But nowadays, the careers are a lot longer. You get players retiring in their mid to late 30s now. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Much shorter career back then. But
that's why records are getting smashed. The try scoring game, like Cameron Smith playing 400 games and that sort of thing, because players, their careers is just so much longer now. But sadly, in terms of playing for the one club, especially our club, being Leichhardt Oval, will we ever get a junior Ciro, Benny Elias kind of person where that just plays their whole career? It might be Luke Brooks in saying that. But anyway, New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flag are before the main game this week. And New South Wales women, so as you luckily saved me last weekend by mentioning, they are in the semi-final this weekend after winning last weekend. They are playing the Bears 2 p.m. in a double header at Jubilee Net Strata Jubilee Stadium. So get out and support the girls to make the grand final. How good would that be, Az?
Oh, that'd be great. The grand final's at Campbelltown too, by the way, next weekend.
Wow, okay.
And if they beat the Bears, who finished first, so it's going to be a tough order because the Bears had a good win over us earlier in the season, they'll be playing either the Mounties or Sharks in the grand final next week.
Yeah, right.
So that will be a really, really good one to watch. Hopefully, if maybe a few fans who don't want to go to first grade get out there, or I don't know, maybe you could do the double there, head out to Netstrata and then make your way from there to Leichhardt. Don't know what the road from there is like, but
traffic's pretty bad. But I think between 3 and 7, I think 4.5 hours you'd be all right. You'd almost get to Orange in 4.5 hours, couldn't you?
Orange is 3.5 hours away from Sydney, so yeah.
And just shouts to Joey, who just joined the Patreon, obviously, as I was talking about it earlier. He just joined as well. I'll send you a link to the Discord. There you go, live shout out as your first gift. Thanks, Joey. Patreon.com/WestsLife. Righto, first topic, the Brooks situation, boy, and the Adam. We'll do Brooks and Doueihi in the same situation. So, have you been living under a rock this week? Young Luke Brooks has a few people calling this the best thing he's done in a West Tigers uniform in quite some years. Poor Brooksy, but basically he's had a stab at the club for leaks. So I've got the quote up for those watching. I've got the quote up in some fancy writing for you. But for those listening, so he basically said it's pretty disappointing that people in the club tend to leak a fair bit. And he said this to a press conference, by the way. It wasn't like this was an exclusive to a reporter. It was literally at a press conference after training. Without myself not being spoken to and seeing it all in the news, it's pretty frustrating. But it was all cleared up, and in the end, I was playing, so it was all a bit of a storm in a teacup. I think it came from a place where it probably shouldn't have, and that is what is frustrating sometimes about this club. A fair few stories get leaked out, and I think it comes from people a lot higher than us. Rob, my jaw nearly hit the floor. Partly, like, it's so shocking that I laughed as well as being shocked. Like for Brooks, because he's known for being pretty quiet, and then to come out and have a jab at the men, like paying his wages. I guess you can put it that way, but crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think look, we all know Brooksy's got, thick skin. He's copped a lot, from our fan base and from the press over a long time. He was, touted as the next Andrew Johns. Look, put simply, Josh, I think this is just Brooksy's way of wanting to get out of the club. I don't think you come out and say what you said and expect, not to get a slap over the wrist from someone within the club. You just can't speak out against a club like that when you're a paid member of that organisation. I think he went further too, Josh, in the TV interview and said something like, well, I'm the one that I didn't ask for the money they gave me. They gave me the money that, they offered. So he really had a full swing at the club. And, it probably is the best thing that he did in terms of all of us, because we're all sick of the leaks in terms of, what that is. I actually contacted the sponsor of our show a couple of months ago, Simon Cook, from West Ashfield, or West Tigers too, I should say. Sent him an email. We had a good chat about it, and he was very forthcoming about everything. But, his attitude was kind of like, you can't stop it. And it wasn't so much he can't stop it within the club, but he said, you don't know if players are talking, you don't know if managers are talking, you don't know if they're talking to family members, and family members are leaking stuff to the media. So, he kind of tried to say, well, look, even if it was stopped in-house, is it going to stop permanently? But it's just at the point now with everything going on, we need our leaders to stand up and do something about it, and it doesn't seem to stop. You're going to go into the Adam Doueihi, talk as well. Like, if Adam had a private conversation with Brett Kamali and didn't want that leaked, then how do we know about it? It sounds like it wouldn't have come from Adam's camp. Did it come from Kamali? Did it come from Sheen's after Sheen smoothed it over? We don't know, but it's just poor. Like, it's literally something every day. And we know the journalists want to talk about it every day, but if you've seen the amount of contact I've had today, like people reaching out to me, like from the players' camps, supporters, even someone within the club organisation today reached out to me in frustration. I said, guys, I can't do anything about it. I'm happy to talk to you about it, but you need our bosses to do something about it. It's an absolute disgrace. And I think our leaders are a disgrace. And if they cared about this, they would do something about this. It's just an absolutely poor look. And I'm lost for words. I don't know what we do about this, Josh, anymore. I don't know why is it so hard just to not shut up and just, let our footy do the talking. Not that it's doing much, but how are we supposed to have harmony coming up to a game at home when Brooks is saying he's unhappy and Doueihi's saying he's unhappy, and he's actually unhappy that it's come out that he said he was unhappy, and then Doueihi says he doesn't want to play centres, but he's going to do the right thing on Saturday night. But he came out publicly and said, I want to be in the halves in the future. And then I don't know if you've got the team handy, Josh, but if you look at the New South Wales Cup team, every player from number 1 to number 6 is a centre. So, I don't know what to make of it all. That's just frustrating. But to be honest, it's the daily life of a West Tigers fan now.
What was your reaction hearing this from Brooksy?
To be completely honest, I didn't know anything about this until not all that long ago. Looked up, I did a little bit of reading before coming on the show just so I could be a little bit more up to date with the news and the goings on and everything like that. But I'm hoping that if it's being called out, that's going to stop it, or at least get us on the right track to stopping it, because it's getting to be, to me, to be a little bit bullshit that everything we do is front page news or back page news in the Daily Telegraph and the Herald and whatever other news articles they post about us. It's just a whole lot of bull crap that nothing we do stays behind closed doors. And obviously someone's leaking it to cause that, but whoever's doing it needs to be held accountable, because yeah, it's just bullshit. I feel for Brooksy. He's been put in a pretty rough position here. Like you said, he's copped a lot of flack for years and years and years because of poor performance or what have you. And he's in my opinion, he hasn't done anything wrong, and he's called it out. He probably won't be there at the club next year because of it, but hopefully calling it out gets us on the right track to stopping it or finding who the leak is.
Just shouts, Brocker, I did notice your notification come through regular on the live stream. He's joining us on the Patreon as well. Legend. And of course, the other player in all this, Adam Doueihi. So basically, it came out reports earlier in the week that he's told the club, or told Brett Camorley, look, I want to put me in second grade. Give me the 5'8" spot, or put me in second grade. Well, that's how it was kind of paraphrased. He wasn't actually quoted as saying that, as far as I know. It was just kind of paraphrased that way. And then he's come out later in the week saying, it's just, how does that private conversation get out? He's just saying, look, I want to basically get my groove back in second grade. So the conversation wasn't quite what the headline was, but I said it the last episode or the episode before, in terms of Adam being unhappy is pretty common knowledge. And I said if it will come down to, who said it in the comments before, Norman, on Facebook, Brooks, Adam, Jacko, I think, will sign elsewhere come November. Look, I think it comes down, again, I said it the other day, if Adam gets a 6, and it's a money thing too, obviously. 6 halves get paid more than centers, so he'll get paid more as well, and that's why the club basically aren't offering contracts to Doueihi yet, or Jacko, and etc., because if the new coach comes in and says, no, I don't think he's a 5'8", they're only going to offer him centers money. So if the new coach coming in doesn't think Adam Doueihi should be in the halves, he'll go. Is that pretty much how you see it, Rob?
Yeah, look, firstly, what you said about Adam speaking to Coach Brett Camorley, the way that sounded, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he meant it in a way that it wasn't a threat. It was like, I really see myself as a 5'8". If you don't see me as a 5'8" in first grade, do you mind playing me in New South Wales Cup so I can get more match fitness up and get more game time and build my fitness up and do it that way? It wasn't like, make me number 6 or else. So I think we need to clear that up, pretty, there and then. I don't think there's anything wrong with what he said. And to be honest, we've said on the show, the last couple of weeks, why did we play him off the bench, against Canterbury and waste a sub or bringing on with 12 minutes left? Like, we all thought ourselves, shouldn't he be getting his game honed in New South Wales Cup first, build a match fitness up, and then when he's ready, promote him to number 6? Obviously, in terms of him being 5'8", the other spanner in the works was the fact that they said Luke Brooks was going to get dropped a couple of weeks ago. The club kind of kept him in first grade to make those reports look bad. So they kind of like call the media's bluff on that. It's just a mess. I really don't know what to make of it all. I won't say which halves camp I spoke to today, but I spoke to one of them today, and I can tell you now that one of them is not very happy about the whole situation and the way it's heading and the way I see it, even though they couldn't speak for someone out of the other halves. I think all 3 of them might not be there in a couple of years. It's just getting ridiculous, and it's almost at the point, guys, where I know they're only players, and it's not about whether the club's going to stay afloat financially or anything like that. But if the club literally didn't have Adam Doueihi and Jackson Hastings as part of their club in a year or two, it's almost worthy of the NRL stepping in, and speaking to the West Tigers and saying, "What the hell are you doing?" Like we almost need an independent, investigation, not these rubbish reviews that our club do, where the people that should be investigated are doing the investigating, like Pascoe was doing last year, or like Sheens was doing the investigating about Madge. Like he could be part of the problem too. So I think if we're going to do reviews within the club, they need to be independent. The part about where one person within the club is doing a review is just utter bullshit, and it makes no sense. And you can't get a true finding, without some bias, or for example, if something's going wrong in the footy department and it comes back to Sheens, well, he's not going to put himself out there and say, "Oh, that was my fault." And we already know he's made a couple of mistakes in terms of how they've handled Madge 9 months ago and a few weeks ago, and why we didn't offload Brooks to Newcastle when he wanted to go. So, that falls squarely on Sheens. So I think, if people are running reviews, they've got to be independent, but it's just a mess. Like, fans are reaching out, they're all frustrated. I had one 50-plus-year-old supporter ring me last night. I was on the phone for 45 minutes and happy to talk to him, but I'm like, "Mate, I can't do anything. Just hang in there. If you don't give it away, if you want to have a break for a few months, have a break and just see how things pan out. See who we name as coach. See if we've got a change of, board or CEO or anything down the track. And if it doesn't change, or it doesn't, make you happy, then, by all means, give it a miss." Like I said, the way I'm treating it now, so I don't lose my shit, is I'm just not going to watch the game live anymore. I'll watch it afterwards. I hope we have a win. I'd love to win at Leichhardt. I hope the boys can live for the crowd, and they can get some energy off the crowd. But, if we've got a couple of unhappy players, it doesn't really look good for the weekend.
Just Matachu on YouTube. We'll kind of segue into that as well. I don't have it on the list, but we'll talk about it anyway, because it's kind of developing that Tim Sheens might take over, and Api Coruscant came out and said, in support of Sheens today, but he was kind of pushed into saying he supported it. And Justin in the Discord made a good point. It's like he's not going to say that he doesn't like him when he's come to play for him. So, what are your thoughts if Sheens took over as coach? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, if he wants to, let him. Couldn't possibly be worse than how Kamali's going at the moment. It just doesn't feel like the team's playing for him. They claim to be through all the press conferences and stuff. I think Jacko had some nice things to say about Noddy in the press conference last week, but it honestly just doesn't seem like the team's playing for him. Maybe if Sheens is the coach, they'll pull their fingers out of their backsides and rip in an extra gear or two, knowing that he's essentially in charge of the club and would have a lot of say over whether or not they'd be continuing to play for the club next year and into the future.
Shouts. I feel like I'm on a telethon. Rachel Long, she's always I see her pop up in the live stream. She's in the on the Patreon now. Where God, we need celebrities on the phones. How many Patreons sign-ups in one night? Thanks for your support, guys. And Rachel, I'll send you the Discord link soon. Rob, back to Tim Sheens. What are your thoughts on Sheensy possibly coaching again? I feel like he might be not quite with Aaron there.
Look, I've got mixed feelings on it. I agree with Aaron to a certain degree about 2022. As I said on Twitter today, in terms of who we've got available within the West Tigers organisation, the only player that should be, the only person that should be interim coach is Tim Sheens. He's the only one that can maybe unlock the answers to these players, psychologically, and get the best out of them. For him to be the coach in 2023 and beyond, no way. And Tim Sheens himself, when he got rid of Madge, said part of his decision was, is Michael Maguire going to be the coach I want here in 3 years' time from now? And I think, with all due respect to Tim Sheens, you've got to apply the same to him. Is Tim Sheens the guy we want to be a coach when he's basically going to be 75 years of age? And the answer is no. And the other thing, in terms of mentoring a coach, if we need Tim Sheens to mentor a coach, then Tim Sheens needs to be the coach. And I don't think Tim Sheens should be the coach. So, no, Tim Sheens doesn't need to mentor the coach. The coach needs to be able to work with Tim Sheens, have similar philosophies about rugby league to Tim Sheens, but the coach has to have his own mind. Like, we've basically gone down the path, Josh, of Canterbury Bankstown, okay, because Canterbury Bankstown, brought in Phil Gould, okay, to see all their footy department, have a big name there, trying to attract people. We've basically said, oh, you know what, Canterbury are doing this, and let's be frank, Canterbury have been coming last or near last for a few years, so why the hell we copied their model is absolutely stupid. But anyway, we've gone down that path. And to be fair to Tim Sheens needs a job. So, I'm not blaming Tim Sheens for taking up that role, but Tim Sheens hasn't been an NRL coach for over 10 years. He got sacked by us in 2012. I'm not saying he can't do the job. I just think I would doubt he could do the job properly. But Tim Sheens wouldn't shirk away from the job. It's not his style to ever give up. If you speak to Tim Sheens, he's very convincing. Anything that comes out of his mouth, you'll actually believe everything he says because he's very knowledgeable. But he's a trooper too. Like, he, as a player, he was a prop forward for Penrith. He played for 13 years, never made a semi-final, never complained about it, never whinged. Like, he's just one of those guys. He'll just keep plodding along. But ultimately, you want the results. And, we sacked him for 3 finals in 10 years. And obviously now we're desperate to get back to the finals. I think there are enough candidates out there, guys, to have someone in there. But for Sheens to be the full-time coach for next year, it'd be a definite no from me. But having said that, I will put one proviso on that. If he took over this roster right now and got 4 or 5 wins in the last 9 games, then all of a sudden I'd have to eat my words. But I don't think he's capable of getting those wins with the way the boys are playing right now. But in terms of who's going to be performing the best, which coach will get our players to perform best, even if they don't win a game, I still think it'd be Tim Sheens, and he'd do a better job than Kamali. But it's just a really tough situation. I think, Hadja Pentelis and Pascoe and the board, they need to find a coach ASAP. I think if they wanted Sheens to be the coach, they would have offered him that by now. But poor Brett Kamali, like, he's just absolutely being thrown to the deep end, and nothing's happening for him. And I really hope they prove me wrong Saturday night. But I can't see how we're going to win Saturday night unless Parra have a few late withdrawals or they get a bout of COVID running through the camp or something.
Rachel just asked any updates on the coach. Is John Morris, as far as you know, Rob, still favourite?
Well, I was told that it was a done thing a couple of weeks ago. There's just too much rumour going around, Josh. I had someone ring me today and said Josh Morris has knocked it back. I wouldn't say it's
John Morris.
John Morris, yeah, I think I said John. Sorry, did I say John? I apologise.
Yeah, not one of the Morris twins.
I do that once an episode, don't I? So someone told me that John Morris has said no. I'm not sure about that. I also heard that Benji did get offered the job. Like, it's not a maybe.
Wow.
Benji Marshall got offered the job. Benji Marshall knocked it back, said it's not the right time for him now.
Well, you didn't tell me that. That's the first time I've heard. Normally, everything you say on the show, I've heard before the show. I haven't heard. That's huge. You're kind of glossing over that. That's a massive thing.
I love Benji, but I don't think Benji would be the right guy right now. Like, Benji hasn't coached the first grade team. He's
no, I agree. I can't believe the club actually. That's some like shit that I see in comments on Facebook groups talking about this coaching thing. Like, if some like half jokingly give Benji the coaching. Benji's never coached like a team in his life. He retired last year. Like, that's insane that they'd offer Benji the head coaching role. An assistant coach, totally understand. but that wow, my jaw just dropped.
Well,
again.
mate, I haven't been on the Discord chat since about 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon because I've literally been speaking to like 3 or 4 different people, with the organisation and from different players' camps. And unfortunately, most of it's just all frustration. And I'm like, it's really weird, Josh, but it's almost like when I see someone else frustrated, it makes me feel better about myself because I feel like I'm not the only one that's
yeah.
over
It's like when
this,
you're a
but-
kid. If you get detention and all your mates are on detention, it's much easier to cop
Exactly.
than kids. Kids don't get detention anymore. They wouldn't know what they're
That's
talking
an
about.
absolute perfect analogy. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what, man? I'm spending, a few hours a day just talking to everyone about this. And like I say, I love talking about rugby league and West Tigers, but it's getting us nowhere. Like we literally need most of this board to step down. I feel like with our board, it's almost like Lee and Justin just walk into the board and literally get the other 7 members just to sign off on shit, and no one puts their hand up or challenges them or takes them on or says, like, imagine, the 3 of us and Shane, imagine like the 4 of us all together, we're having massive problems with WestsLife and there's these massive leaks coming from everywhere. Do you think we're just going to sit on it or act like,
Good point, Aaron.
Like, well, something happened the other night. We did act. But anyway, so like the point is you just act on it. You don't just sit on it and just, chew your fingers and just say, oh, shit happens. Like this is a professional organisation. And like I said, last week, right now, they've got no Madge to blame. They can't blame Madge anymore. So the media is just going hardcore at our front office and they're going to want to deflect all the attention. So,
yeah, that Benjis shit you just dropped. If our mate Michael Chalmers is listening, or he's be penning something now. I'm steering into this. What are your thoughts as Benji Marshall as a head coach? Sorry, Rob, did you say 100% the club offered Benji Marshall the role, or
I'm reliably told they asked him if he'd like the position, and he said no. I can't 100% verify that, but I'll back my source.
Jesus Christ. As thoughts on Benji Marshall being a head coach when he literally played for South last year.
I 100% agree with Benji. It's not the right time. I'd love to see him as a coach one day. Maybe him and Robbie as some sort of coaching duo, but that's definitely a further down the track thing after they've both had some experience as assistant coaches. I'd love to see either or both of those guys at the club as assistant coaches, but holy Jesus, if the club is asking a player who's only retired within the last year or two to come and coach when they've got no coaching experience whatsoever, that's just setting yourself up for more failure. And you'd end up alienating one of the only blokes who's really been passionate about this club for his whole life, or his whole adult life, essentially. Just alienating him from the club and ruining his chances of ever getting another coaching gig again. This is not going to be a job for a novice coach. The coach who comes on to coach this train wreck is going to need to at least have some sort of knowledge of what the hell they're getting themselves into.
But it suits the narrative of Tim Sheens wanting to have his fingers on the coaching a little bit. Like if he's got someone that's never coached an NRL team before, obviously Tim Sheens will have his fingerprints all over it. Like I don't know how true this is, but I'm even being told that Tim Sheens has been picking the teams. It hasn't even been Brett Camorley. I've heard Brett Camorley's frustrated at some of the selections. So I don't know what to believe anymore, mate. Like I'm just and some of these sources are have been pretty credible and some aren't. But I don't know if it's player camps trying to get it out there so that they know they're upset or what have you. But these are people that pretty much know what's going on and deal with these people every day. And maybe that's a problem. Like maybe they shouldn't be leaking shit to me too. I don't know. But there's just too much talk about what's going on. And, I tell you what, I never would have had Flanigan in 100 years. I still don't want him as our coach, but it's just like everyone else is just getting an X through them. Like you almost think maybe we do need, a drug cheat coach. Like I just don't know anymore. I don't know. I don't know. That's Hadjipentelis's and Pasco's job, and as I said last week, they bungled it up. Cronulla sacked a coach on a Tuesday. They had a new coach announced on a Wednesday. We should have done the same thing. We're just not the right organisation, guys. We're just terrible. Can't close the deal to save our lives.
What's the point of having a bloke come in as an interim coach or whatever if he's not even going to be giving any control of the team? Like, let him make the team selections. Let him have a chance to say, this is who I reckon is in our best 17. This is what I reckon is their best position. If he's there as the interim coach, if his name is on the team sheet as the coach, then why isn't he getting any say in what goes on?
And the fact is that Sheens didn't even go. If he picked the team, he didn't even go to New Zealand. He was at West Ashfield when the game was on. When did we play? Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. He was at West Ashfield doing a Q&A.
Team. You can still be.
I know, but if he's picking the team, you think he'd have a walkie-talkie or something telling the coach what to do in the coach's box too.
Well, does it make sense? Does it make sense to you guys? Does it make sense to you guys that a couple of weeks ago we had a bench that had only 2 forwards on it? Like that. That's something Sheens used to do all the time. I can't imagine Noddy Kamali having 2 backs and 2 forwards, or like a hooker, an outside back, and then 2 forwards. So from that part of it does make sense. I've seen games with Tim Sheens back in the day where we had Joel Reddy or Mitch Brown or what's his name, Tom Humble. We had 2 of those 3 blokes on the bench. Like I've seen him do it, and I've seen him put them on with 5 minutes left in a game. And play with 15 men basically for 75 minutes. Like, it's not something that's unfamiliar with Tim Sheen's style. So I can't say it's not true. I mean, look, it is a bit of speculation, but it makes sense.
Good question from Joseph on YouTube. If Sheens is picking the team, why would Doueihi be frustrated with Noddy? I mean, it hasn't really been confirmed. It was like the discussion might have been with Sheens as well. Could the players not know that Noddy's
exactly
not picking the team? Yeah.
How would the players know? Like Kamali has, we've used this term bust so many times ever since Ivan Cleary's, been mentioned with us. But Kamali has been thrown under the bus. He really has. And maybe Sheens thinks if he was interim coach, then he wouldn't get the gig next year. Maybe he figures if he throws Kamali under the bus, then he can put his hand up and say, well, hang on, I'm 70 years of age. I've won 4 premierships. I'll be the coach next year. I don't know. Like, it's just hard to work out. But, you'd think that Kamali will never get a gig again. Like, unless somehow we start winning a few games. If we won a few games, maybe they will make Kamali head coach. But I can't see us winning any games, let alone 1 or 2 games.
DD Lods on YouTube. Has Robbie been asked? I think he's like, I doubt Robbie would even contemplate. Do you think Robbie would ever, on the show, he said maybe in the future it's something, when we had him on just before the season started, he said it's something in the future, but he's not really sure.
I reached out to him today, but just on a something personal. I wouldn't even ask him that just out of respect. But with what he said, Josh, when you interviewed him a few months back, he said he was kind of like sitting on the fence in terms of if he wanted to go down the coaching path or the office path, like the CEO path.
Yeah.
I know one thing with Robbie Farah. If he thought it was in the best interest of the club to do something, even if it was almost to be a sacrificial lamb just to get our club through a certain crisis, he'd do it. But, I think it'd be unfair on Robbie to throw him in as a full-time coach. But could he make a fist of it? He's a great talker. He knows the game as good as anyone. He's highly intelligent. So whatever he puts his mind to, he'll be a success at. So, but it's probably not fair on him to throw him there. But I guess if he had someone like Sheens who he looks up to as for guidance, I'm sure he could do it. But as Seraldo and his manager said, if they're paying attention, we need an experienced coach. So
the thing about Robbie as well with his business, would you rather be flying to around the world watching Premier League soccer games and Super Bowls as your gig, or trying to lose half your life trying to work out how to coach the West Tigers? I think I know
half your life and all your hair.
Yeah, well, Robbie.
True.
Yeah.
I think you know what, you're right with that, and he has got a great lifestyle and he enjoys his
Yeah.
freedom. But
And as you said, good balance at the moment as well.
Yeah, he does. But people, you're selling short how much he loves the club.
Yeah. I know,
that's-
but to take the whole like he said, he likes doing the blue shirt, like to be the top dog and to be as if we've got multiple comments here, who would take this job? We're only going to get someone who's desperate for a first grade gig to coach his team.
Yeah, well, I can tell you now, like there was someone who was very interested in this CEO role that basically sent me a short message last night just saying, what a low we're at as a club, what a shambles it is, and whether it's good football people or good office people, it's going to be really hard for the Tigers to attract that. He goes, it's just looking more unattractive every day. So I didn't press him any further, but I kind of felt like that was his way of saying I'm not interested anymore, which... like it's just that low. Like you just don't know how you're going to get out of this. It's like we need to clean out, guys. We need to clean out. We need the NRL to step in. We need something to be done. It's just not a good situation.
Yeah, Zachary made a good point on YouTube. He's sitting next to Noddy in the comm box, so I think he'd make a very good assistant coach for sure.
Like I said, whatever he puts his mind to, he could do. But I just think maybe he needs a few years as an assistant coach to, look, don't forget he's played under, Sheens. He's played under a few coaches. He's played under Potter. He's unfortunately played under Taylor. Cleary.
Yeah.
In fact, he said to me, Cleary. Like I was actually surprised by this. He said Cleary's just like one of probably the best coach he's ever had tactically. Like his game plans are really detailed and stuff like that.
Won the grand final last year, so.
Yeah, but I thought it was surprising considering he's won a premiership under Sheens and Sheens is considered guru and all that sort of stuff. So, look, I mean, he definitely, it wouldn't hurt. But I mean, gosh, for his last few weeks sitting in the coach's box as an assistant, he's probably hating how things are going. And he's the sort of guy that would want to be changing things himself. He must be hating watching what he's seeing on the field. He's probably wishing his knees were better and he was 5 years younger and he could get back out there.
Okay, let's move on. There is actually a game of rugby league this weekend for us to talk about.
I've got a quick question.
Oh, you go, Faz.
So you guys were talking about Sheens, what the game was like when I watched Sheen's team lists were like. How many interchanges did we have back in the late noughties? Were we like more than 10 or?
How many teams did you say?
Interchanges, like during a game.
When we won the comp, it was 12, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think I'm going back to I'm not going back to the double O's. I'm talking like the 10s, 11s. Like I think Tom Humble was around in 2011 or something like that. So and Joel Reddy's and what have you. So I'm only talking literally back to his last couple of years of coach. Like he put Matt Utah in the centres. You know what I mean? He did some crazy things at stages. So
the 12 came. I think the 12 came in just before we won the comp. Before that, it was unlimited. So like teams like the Broncos would have like Webkey come on and just basically play offense, defense. Like it was just, the Broncos really dominated because of the cattle and the depth they had. So the interchange obviously was a big part of us winning the comp because fatigued teams just couldn't, keep up. And then it's gone 10, and obviously
down to 8.
The 8 was only a couple of years ago. What was it, 4 or 5 years ago? The 8.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember. I feel like we didn't change when we won the comp. I felt like it was just straight out reserves. I actually don't remember. I actually do not remember.
Yeah, no, it was 12. And obviously, when did the interchange? Because obviously the big thing about the 89 grand final was Ciro and Blocker went off, and it was like soccer and rugby union back then. Once you're off, you're off. You can't.
That's
come back
right.
on.
So the interchange came in the next year. That part I do remember. But in
the next year.
Yeah, 1990 was interchange, but it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't limited, Josh. It was unlimited interchange.
So they went from off you're off to unlimited interchange.
Unlimited, and then it got reduced after that because the bigger teams just rolled through you. Like guys like
the Raiders.
Well, later on in the 90s, the guys like Craig Wing that were just, getting fresh second rowers running at these small halves all day. They couldn't cope with it. And there was no fatigue. And then also the little men weren't doing damage late in the game. So they had to bring a little bit of fatigue back. So they reduced the interchange. But I don't remember the actual numbers that they reduced them to. That's all.
You can definitely see the effect that the interchanges or how it's gone down has had on the game. So that having two forwards on the bench may have worked back in the 10s, 11s, 12s, but there was no way it was going to work when we played the Dogs a few weeks ago. Even if Doueihi didn't have to come off as early as he did, it just wasn't going to work.
Yeah, we were talking about 2009 the other week, Aaron, and we were mentioning the game. It wasn't the game we detailed, but we were talking about the famous game where Benji does the flick pass around his back to Blake Ashford to score a try. That night,
Eric Grove's still confused by that.
That's right. Well, we lost Tuiaki that night. We lost Bo Ryan for a period of the game, and we lost two wingers in that game. And we had a massive Sheensy shuffle, which was forced on us. We had John Morris in the centres and things like that. And I think from that moment, Sheens just decided I need one or two backs on the bench minimum. Where prior to that, we probably ran with four forwards. So we never used to carry it back on the bench. But because that literally cost us our year, losing that epic game between Parra and West Tigers, who both won so many games in a row leading into that Friday night game.
Yeah.
Just
I reckon we made the grand final that year.
Yeah.
If we scrape into the final, we were so hot coming in to that final series.
Yeah, we were hot.
And obviously 2010, as well.
Yeah, we had a few injuries. We lost Rob Louis. We lost a couple of people that year. Shannon was pretty good back in those days too. So.
It's funny how we look back on ninth place years and compared to now, man, that was so much more fun.
The better times, the happier times.
We won nearly half our. We did win half our games a few years ago.
But the difference was, Josh, back in those days, you knew you could beat any team. You knew the West Tigers were capable of beating any team on their night. If they play their style of football and make their fair share of defence. Where right now, I don't see our team beating any NRL team simply for where they are mentally. For some reason, they've just clicked off after Madge got fired, and we need the air put back in the balloon because it's just gone out. It's just terrible.
Righto, so we're playing the Parramatta Eels 7:35 Saturday night at the eighth wonder of the world, Leichhardt Oval, my favourite place on the entire planet. Even when it's cold, wet, and the team is absolutely shithouse, I still, love going to beloved Leichhardt Oval. Team list: Dane Laurie still at fullback, wingers still David Nofoaluma, Ken Mamalo. Obviously, the big thing this week: Adam Doueihi is named in the centres as opposed to off the bench. Stafford Toa keeps his centre role rather than Jimmy Roberts. We'll touch on that first. Do you think Stafford? A lot of people saying Stafford Toa probably doesn't deserve to be in first grade. He's been pretty poor. Well, I mean, they could say that about a few players, but were you shocked to see him named again this week?
Yeah, I was. As good as he filled in at fullback while we had Dano out, he just hasn't really been anywhere near as good since he moved to the centres in that Rabbits game. We noticed how poor he was defensively in that Rabbits game. I think he was responsible for maybe 3 of the tries the Rabbits scored down that side in that rematch at Stadium Australia. But yeah, I'm disappointed to see him there over Roberts. Is Roberts injured or anything, or is he just been dropped?
He's in Maggie's.
Oh, he's in Maggie's, is he? Okay. Yeah, in that case, I think he definitely should be there over Toa, but and this could probably rile a few people up, but I'd say even Gildart deserves to be there over Toa. That's how poor Toa's going in my eyes at the moment.
That's
That's
a low blow, Az. Would you
he
go
just
that far, Rob?
Look, no offense to Gildart's camp, because I'm in contact with them regularly. I don't agree with that. As I said earlier, you go through that New South Wales Cup team, number 1 to number 6.
Yeah, I've got it in front of me. So
yeah, you can read out the names, Josh. Yeah,
the back line. So the Maggie's team list. So Junior Tupou is playing fullback. Kepa Owa, Ollie Gildart on the wings. Jimmy Roberts and Tristan Riley centers. Tyrone Peachy and Jock Madden in the halves. Forwards, Austin Diaz, Alex Seifar, front row, Jake Simpkin, hooker, Jack Boylan, Aidan Perry, Tom Freebarn, 11, 12, 13. And on the bench, Ray Jankovic, Tazi James, Keaton Walkington Meads, and Junior Polgar. I mean, there's how many players are in there that played first grade this year? Junior, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 17. Has Polgar played first grade this year?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but he might have. I don't remember
though. So at least 9 or 10 players who have played first grade this year playing for the Magpies against the Eels. So
bring Junior Tupou back in, give him another run.
Yeah, I say this every week. I want to see this kid. Man, like, I hope it's not a Zaxini situation. Well, he didn't have the shocker that Zaxini had.
Not at all.
Yeah,
No,
but
he had a great game.
the kid was like a little spark of excitement. That, like, what game was it? Was it Magic Round?
It was Magic Round. Yeah,
Magic Round. Like, is that a little bit of hope, a little bit of ray of hope that we've got something good for the future. And yeah, he's going to make mistakes. He's young, but who cares? Like, put him in the centers. Adam Doueihi should be in the halves. Like, yeah, let the kids play. Hashtag let the kids play. Right, a forward pack. So New Brown still at hooker, but Jakey Little is coming off the bench. James Tarmout, Zane Musgrove in the forwards. Luke Garner, Kelma Tuolagi still, our departing guys still in the back row. Joe and Gowie, 13, ready to make another 100 tackles. And Stefano, Justin Manamua to make his debut in the number 15 jersey and leads, as I said, and Fanua Pole as well gets another run this week, which is good. I thought he was great last week, and I'm glad to see he gets his second game in first grade. As thoughts on Kelma Tuolagi still in first grade, like he's leaving and he's not in great form. When do we pull a pin on Kelma? If we or will we?
Get Aaron.
As
He must have his mic.
He's frozen. You go first, Rob.
Okay, yeah. Well, we've said it before, Josh. I don't think he should be there, but I think a poor indictment on our team is. I was just thinking, like, if a game goes for 80 minutes, how long would our first grade team take to put our New South Wales Cup team away? If they were playing each, like there's enough sort of similar talent in New South Wales Cup for our first grade team to, take a reasonable amount of time to put a gap on them, I reckon. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's a squad full of meh, really, isn't it?
Yeah, got a bunch of 6 out of 10s, haven't we? We've got a bunch of 6 out of 10 sort of like efforts going on at the moment. But yeah, anyway, back to Kelma. Yeah, look, you don't even need to ask me this again. Even if he has a blinder on Saturday night, he shouldn't be in the first grade team. We've got to be looking at next year. So, yeah, I wouldn't have him there. I don't understand the logic behind it.
Luke Garner, on the other hand, said it. I said it last week. I still think he is showing effort and playing well enough. I wouldn't drop Luke Garner. I'm happy for him to as you're back.
Plan B again.
Plan B. Switch devices. As Luke Garner, do you think he's still I'm happy for Luke LG to keep playing in the side. I think he's effort and he deserves to be there in my opinion.
I mean, having him there definitely gives us a better chance of winning, but I can see both sides. Obviously, it would be nice to get some wins, whether he's there or not. But I do feel like we do need to start giving some of those other guys a bit of a run. If he's not going to be there, what next year? What purpose does playing him serve for us? I mean, based on form, I'd say you can't drop him. But yeah, if they're looking towards the future, if they really want to be a development club, they should be looking to play some of the other young blokes.
Speaking of young blokes, a few people in the comments asking about Jake Simpkin, Lids getting picked over Simpkin. Rob, again, I think all three of us are perplexed as everyone else is about that one.
Yeah, look, there's a consensus on social media that like that's been put to me that Jake Simpkins' first contact in defence hasn't been great, and that might be the reason that he hasn't been given the go in first grade. So look, it's up to the powers that be in the club to play who they see as their number 2 hooker for next year. That's all. But if we're serious about developing Simpkin, then I'd be going with Simpkin. But perhaps the club is going to go down, Jacob Little's path. So that's fine. That's up to them. I don't agree with it, but ultimately it's not my decision, is it? It's their decision. So, it's puzzling to me, but it is what it is.
Matamua making his debut in this game. As you watched the under 18s, under 18s, wasn't it?
19s.
19s, sorry. I'm going to say he has to be older than that. Under 19s Origin, but still so young. But what can you tell everyone about this kid?
He had a really, really strong game. His second stint in the game was probably better than his first, but he definitely showed that he's got what it takes to make it in the top grade. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a really good game from him. He tackled hard. He ran hard when he got the ball. He looked like he had a bit of footwork on him too. So it's going to be good to see him get a run. Hopefully he gets a decent stint off the bench in this one. And making a debut at Leichhardt, how good? How good is that going to be for the young bloke? He had the press conference the other day or yesterday or today or whenever it was. He had tears in his eyes when
it's cool.
When he told his dad and everything. Like he's about to make his first grade debut at Leichhardt at the 8th wonder of the world as a Tiger. It doesn't get much better than that.
He grew up as a Tigers fan, apparently.
Yeah, he's probably had countless games. He's probably spent countless games on the hill watching this team play, and now he's going to be out there. He's going to run out towards the hill. He's going to love every moment of it, I reckon, and he'll rip in.
If he's 19, that makes him born. What is he born? 2003. He wouldn't remember. Is that my maths right there? 2003, maybe 2000. Yeah, 2003.
Yeah, 2003.
He
wouldn't remember 2005. In fact, he wouldn't remember 2010 or 11. Really?
I think he'd remember the semis. I don't think he'd remember the 2005. That's for sure.
I don't. I mean, it's not that long ago for him. I don't really remember like early 90s footy when I was 5-6. It was only mid 90s I can remember. Like it'd be maybe a memory here. It's not that long ago for him. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that we've got players coming in debuting that were 5 years old the last time we made the semis. 5? Get maths in my head. 12 years.
We had players in Benji and Robbie's last few years in the game who grew up idolizing the two of them.
Yeah.
and they got to play alongside them or against them, and the starstruck youngsters has been a huge thing the last few seasons. Like even with players like Cameron Smith, and Billy Slater and Cooper Cronk, all these young men and women out there who are now playing the game, who idolized those guys.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Born in the year that Benji debuted for West Tigers, like that's crazy.
There's a similar
bit
thing.
Scary.
Yeah,
I don't think you guys watch Formula One, but Fernando Alonso, who's at Alpine now, there's drivers that are racing this year against him that weren't born when he started, which is pretty
wow.
crazy. Yeah, no basketball reference there. Different sport tonight, but anything else in there? Fanua Pole, as good to see him get another run.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching him last week. He was one of the few shining lights in the game on Sunday. That's why I put him in my 3-2-1. I hope he backs it up. I hope he doesn't have a Sini. He can back it up and have a really strong second showing.
Yeah,
anything to add for Pole, Rob?
No, not really. Just he had a great debut. I hope he can back it up, and I'm sure the Leichhardt crowd will give him a bit of a lift. So yeah, it should be good to watch on replay.
Jock Madden, we've said this every week, but how do we? Yeah, I want to see him get a crack. Why? How is there a way we can? I mean, it's all down the Luke Brooks factor. I know, like there's just only so many halves jerseys to go around, and we're already fighting. There's 3 guys fighting over it, let alone Jock. But I don't know how do we configure the bench, Rob? Like to get Jock Madden some first grade time.
I don't think we can fit Jock on the bench. The only way you could configure it, which would probably make Jackson Hastings a little bit unhappy, would be to put Jock Madden at 7 and Jackson Hastings at 13. But that's the only that's the only way you could configure it. But I'd just like to see one game in 2022 where Jackson Hastings and Adam Doueihi are just 100% locked and loaded and ready to just lead this team into something. And again, we're not going to see it this week. So just at least experiment with the most logical choice of halves before we start doing this other stuff. Back to Josh, I think that basically I'm assuming that the Tigers have just accepted that he's not going to be around next year. And they're not going to, because they're not trying to develop him. He had a great game against Canterbury the first time we played him when we won at Leichhardt, where he basically had to take control of the team when Jackson Hastings was in the sin bin in the second half for a crucial period of the game. His kicking game was absolutely on point. His decision making on the last tackle when he'd feign a kick and run or whatever he did everything you could do to demand to be in the team the next week. And then Madge dropped him. So I don't know. Like it's just the love affair with Luke Brooks continues no matter who it's from, whether it's past coaches, current coaches, interim coaches, head of development, whatever. And like the Dolphins seem to be interested in Luke Brooks now. So hopefully they'll offer enough coin that we don't have to chip in too much. But yeah, I don't know how else we get Madden there. He can't be a back guy. He can't be a reserve. He's not going to be able to play hooker. He doesn't have the defensive skills for hooker. If you watch the Manly game at Campbelltown, Josh and Aaron, he got just thrown away like a rag doll by Olakawatu a few times. And he literally after being on the field for a few minutes, he got hooked. So he didn't even really get much game time. And he hasn't had a look in since, making a couple of poor attempted tackles there. So I don't know what the future holds for him, but he's definitely got some potential. So if we're trying to, see who's going to be right and who's going to be wrong for 2023 and keep this extended preseason going, we should be giving everyone a bit of a chance. But, it's like what you said about the centre position. Like, why the hell have we kept Stafford Toa there? Is it just because James Roberts and Adam Doueihi you'd consider both right centres? You know, because they've both got big right foot steps. I don't know. I don't know what the logic is behind it, but just whatever it is, we're not getting it right. And yeah, I just hope it changes Saturday night, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, we shall see. So whether it's actually looking pretty good compared to the New South Wales being absolutely hammered by rain. Obviously this week, which has been mostly. I don't know about what's it been like out in Orange this week, weather-wise.
This week's been nice and dry. We had rain late last week while Sydney was getting rain last week, we were getting it too. But since Monday, I think we've had blue skies for the most part, despite having more rain predicted on the radar and everything.
Yeah, and Rob, you and I obviously live in the inner west. We haven't copped it. It's been raining a lot, but haven't copped it quite like southwest Sydney and the Hunter. And thoughts out to any obviously it's tiger territory out that way. So yeah, all the people struggling with the floods. Thoughts to everyone. Hope you're all safe there. But Leichhardt Oval, traditionally it always rains, but fingers crossed, it actually looks like it might be okay. So that little graph on the screen there is, looks like there might be a touch, but yeah, not a drenching. Fingers crossed. Who knows? But 17 degrees during the day on Saturday, so it's meant to be quite a nice day. Fingers crossed.
We had that game against the Dogs at Leichhardt a little over a month ago, and we got some pretty heavy rain that night, didn't we?
You were sitting next to me, weren't you, Rob?
Yeah, we did. We got it. We got a pre-game and maybe at the beginning of the game, but then it was okay. I think it was reasonably okay during the game, Josh, from memory.
The hill looked like a bit of a mudslide by the end of the night, though, especially as the rain was coming back down while the women's game was on afterwards. I hung around for that, and yeah, they were playing in pouring rain. And then I remember seeing a video later on after seeing the hill opposite from the grandstand, and it looked like a bit of a mudslide. But watching the Origin game the other week, it looked like the hill had somewhat recovered a little bit. So hopefully it's doing all right now too. It copped a hammering.
Ben asked on YouTube, as you didn't realize you lived in Orange, you drive for every home game.
Yep. Every home game in Sydney. I've got the full season membership. I'm a glutton for punishment. So, yep.
I mean, it does help. Your dad obviously lives in Sydney, so
yeah, I have free accommodation. All I have to do is pay him for some food.
But still, it's a big drive to do 12 times or 11 times
10.
a year. 10.
7-hour round trips, roughly. So traffic depending.
Yeah. But what's the closest to you? Campbelltown?
Yeah, Campbelltown. I mean, it's about 45 minutes off the M4. Actually, no, probably Combank, because it's about half hour from reaching the M4 to my dad's place. Yeah. So that's probably closest, Campbelltown, and then Leichhardt furthest away. But it's nice to have dad's place, which is sort of in the middle of all three. He's over near Parra, so it's not too far from Leichhardt. It's about 20-minute drive from there. It's a 8 to 10 minutes down the road on the bus to Combank, and it's about a 50-ish minute drive down to Campbelltown, depending on which way I go. So
yeah,
fairly central for all three.
Yeah, I live a suburb from your dad, so I get what you're saying. Norman on Facebook, why are you calling Doueihi Blakey? No, Doueihi. So for obviously Norman's new to the show, so the correct pronunciation that Adam did confirm on the show. When did we have Adam on? It was
last year.
Late last year.
Something like that.
The correct pronunciation is Doueihi. It's not Doueihi, and I knew this because of my wife works works with a relative, an in-law or something with him. The correct pronunciation is Doueihi. So I ran with that. I like to be correct with those things. It's just Doueihi. I just can't bring myself to say the name that's not actually his name. He said when
I was going to say
he said he doesn't care.
Like
He said he doesn't care on the show. Like he can't be bothered telling the commentators they're wrong. Like I was saying, how many players in the NRL change their name pronunciation? Like Papali's now Papali. Like So obviously Adam doesn't care enough to want to do it, but I just I like to say what it's like. Go. What are you going to say, Rob?
I was just going to say, firstly, Adam said he's happy for the commentators to call him Doueihi, but it's actually not. Like he knows himself, it's not the correct way to pronounce it. That's so. But you're mentioning players like Papali. There's also Nick Kotrich, which he goes now by Nick Chotrich or something. I don't know. That's all changed.
And then there's Nickel Klukstar, or however he pronounces it now.
Klukstar instead of Klockstar.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair enough. You get called, you make the NRL, you should be called what you're called. Like,
of course.
If someone called me, like, I got a very Anglo name, but if someone was saying Barnett instead of Barnett, I'd be like, no, it's Barnett. Like, say it right. Righto. Betting wise, according to an unnamed betting agency, I'm not going to name because they don't sponsor us. Plus, I've given them too much money lately. $4, $1.25 for the Eels, $4. What were we paying when we bet in the first time? It was 7 or 8, wasn't it?
9. Actually, no, it was 9 in the lead up, and I think we jumped to 10 before kickoff.
Yeah, 11.5 start. I don't know, 11.5 start, Rob.
If the weather conditions are half reasonable as you're saying they might be, the Parra will cover the 11.5.
What do you reckon, Az?
11.5. Well, I don't want to give away too much about my prediction, but I've made a tip one way or the other on that. So I think we probably could. But knowing us, if we let them get too far ahead, like it has done in previous weeks, it'll just blow out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Leichhardt motivation seems to be the big thing at the moment. Will Leichhardt be enough to lift them? In the crowd, I think it was Rachel asked earlier in the show, I meant to go back to that, is Leichhardt sold out? I had a quick look on Ticketek while the boys were talking. It doesn't, like, all the sections in the grandstand still have tickets. I don't think it's going to, like, it's such a shame because playing Parramatta, a big fan base, if we were in good form, this would have sold out. It's a Saturday night, but I mean, and just looking,
I was surprised we got a big crowd there for the Dogs.
It's $40 a ticket for general admission to stand on the hill in mud. So that, I mean, to throw out $40, I mean, $104 for a family. Just quietly family tickets don't actually say the kids on it. Just a tip for anyone out there. I mean, 20, what's that? $26 a ticket for a family. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. $26 is about right to stand on the hill. I get it, like Leichhardt Oval, the fees and everything to play there are so high, and they've got to cover the costs. But that's crazy. And to sit in the grandstand. So, Aaron, you and I sit in the grandstand pretty close to each other. So if you want a grandstand ticket, $65 an adult. So that's pretty pricey for a night to sit in the cold and watch the West Tigers. So I'm not surprised at all that people aren't choosing to go. $176 for a family ticket in the grandstand.
Campbelltown's fairly similar cost-wise.
Yeah,
for tickets, it's just the suburban
it's just
grounds.
the running costs. Yeah, that's a double-edged sword. Do you want to play all our games at a Combank or what do you call it, a core stadium, and have tickets cheap, or do you like the suburban? Like it's a tough one. Like I'll choose Leichhardt and Campbelltown all day. But yeah, back when we used to play at what was then ANZ Stadium, it used to be you get 8 games because you get you get Dogs, Dragons, South, Eels away games, and the 4 home games. It was something like $90 or something. It was like $11 a ticket or something back then. Because yeah, we got reciprocal for the away games as well. So yeah, I mean, with the way fuel prices and groceries and tolls and like it's just house prices and interest rates, like it's just yeah, and the team sucks. Yeah, I totally understand why people aren't going, but yeah, it's DD Lod's $40 straight into Lee's pockets. Yeah, it does. There is a lot of costs. I get. I know you're joking there, but there are a lot of costs when it comes to running Leichhardt games. It's just yeah. If we play more games there, it'd be nice to get a bigger screen. And yeah, I know like one thing I've said this on the show, Rob. You noticed when we went to Leichhardt Oval, the screen. We're sitting in the grandstand. The screen like is so far away that you can barely see it. But you have to squint to be able to see it. But bringing up ads, this thing I've said this on the show so many times, and I hope someone. I'm assuming the club controls the big screen because it's their ads. Stop putting fucking ads up when we're about to see a replay. I would purposely not go towards that brand that you put up on the screen. We've gone to the game we've paid our money to sit in the cold to support the team. Stop putting fucking ads over the replays so we can't see the replays when we're at the game. It is so annoying. And then the ad moves away and the replay's gone. Like, put like a little scroll up if you have to. Put the company name down the bottom, like, or something. Put the company, because everyone's eyes are obviously on the screen at that moment. I get why they're doing it, but put the company name at the bottom, and then people's eyes can see the replay and the brand name as well. Like it shits me to tears. Pay all this money to go to a game and you can't even see a replay. It's just you want people to go to games. Stop doing shit like that. There's my rant for the night. I've said it. It's probably the 7th time I've said it on the show, but they got to listen to me eventually. There's one thing, Lee. One thing I'll fight you over, Lee, is ads on the big screen.
Just have your phone going, mate. Just have your phone going on the NRL app or the Foxtel app or the KO app or the Channel 9 app.
I mean, I end up doing that because you're saying that because that's what I did. I pulled the KO fucking app out on my phone, to just see a replay.
Yeah, exactly.
When you did that at Campbelltown the second half when you were sitting with me too.
I did, yeah. That was more. I had the shits for referee decision, and I wanted to see it again. Yeah, you want to see stop making the experience live. Like you got to try and make the experience live be worth people the effort, money, and time to go and sit at the football. The team's not playing well enough to justify it for people. At least make the game day experience something better, and at least the kids on the field and all that sort of thing. They did do that at Campbelltown, I think, when we went I think that the kids on the field and that sort of thing is really cool. But just stuff like that just annoys me. Righto. Predictions. What are we going, boys?
Who are you starting with, mate?
Oh, sorry. That's right. I am controlling the show. As.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I think there's a very high chance we could get towed up. I'm not expecting another Easter in July miracle as much as good as one would be. I do hope the Leichhardt effect kicks in and we do half decently, but the way we've been going since Madge has been sacked, and the fact that we just haven't been scoring points just makes me worried. I'm tipping the Eels to get up by 10 points, but that's probably me just being generous. I'm hoping it's closer, but it could get really ugly. We don't even have Tamo's 300th now after he missed last week to hype the boys up as I was hoping it would, but we'll have that for Penrith next week. Might need
his
it.
old team, yeah. I didn't even think of that. What are you thinking, Rob?
Look, from what I've seen the last few weeks, and given the bounce back South had against us after we beat them by a last-minute field goal, and I think Parramatta hate, pretty badly. I got, it's terrible. I hate being pessimistic about it, but I'd say the score is going to be something like 36-6 in favour of Parra. I just don't, like I said, unless there's a torrential downpour of rain that makes it a bit closer. I haven't seen enough from the Tigers in attack. We couldn't score a try against a team last weekend that had lost 7 games in a row. And it's a bit disrespectful to say this about New Zealand, but they don't always try their hardest in defence either. So I just don't know how we're going to go. One little ray of sunshine for us. Don't know if it's official yet or not, but apparently Ryan Madison might be out for Parramatta. So that will obviously, they've got a great team anyway, so probably losing one person won't hurt. I just find with these Parramatta Tigers games that Mitchell Moses plays like something out of heaven generally.
Yeah.
He just discovers a running game, ends up having 80 or 90 metres of running and stuff like that. So I just hope, if we lose, I can half accept it. I just don't want to see Moses have a good game. And I just feel like he will. But, look, hopefully something changes, guys. It's got to change. The flick has to switch, within the team as a unit and try and do something. But until I see something where I see they really believe in each other, I'm not going to tip them again for the rest of the year.
Yeah, the Mitchell Moses factor is a big one. I'm just trying to find a photo, this famous photo, see if I can find it. But I've got a bad feeling that a Mitchell Moses game winner, I think maybe a bit of revenge because he had the chance to get it.
He had 2
Parra.
chances.
Yeah.
He missed the conversion from about 15 or so away from the sideline, and then he missed the sitter field goal.
So,
that was a good game.
Him to score a try as well. Trying to find this photo. I found it.
While you're trying to find it, Josh, Aaron, what was it? Which is your favourite game? The win against Parra or the win against South? The back to back.
The win against Parra. I'd say the win against Souths if I was going based on being there. But based on the game as a whole, I'd say the win against Parra. Just seeing Moses miss what he missed, seeing Jacko's reaction to kicking the field goal after it got back up. There was just something about it, and literally everything that happened in the game too, other than the tries the Eels scored. But I'm never going to forget Laurie's hit on Gufferson that sent him into the following week. That was an absolute highlight for me.
Yeah, we had a few memes that night, didn't we?
Absolutely, we did.
Yeah.
Then they did the whole Titanic music over the
Jackson Hastings field goal.
Yeah, over the field goal.
That was good.
Madge's reaction in the coach's box too. That was it made you so happy for him. Like, he had been under the pump for the first 5 rounds, and to see him react and shake his assistant up in the box, and it was just magic. It's a shame we didn't get much more of it.
It is.
Right, boys, do you remember the photo on the right here? Do you remember that night?
I can't see it properly. Josh, can you explain it to me?
It's Mitchell, the ball boy comforting Mitchell
I remember that.
Yeah, as he missed the game-winning field goal against...
Was it Melbourne?
Might have been the Storm.
Yeah, that might have been the Storm at Leichhardt, because I think a set or two later they kicked one at the other end.
Yeah, Cameron Smith, maybe.
That was the Vunivalu debut, wasn't it? When he scored a couple of tries for Melbourne.
Vunivalu and the Fox.
Yeah,
they debuted the same game.
Really?
Oh, there you go. The ball boy is Simon Cook's son. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Good bit of trivia for you.
Didn't know that.
Simon Cook from West, for those that don't know. Yeah. Well, my point of all this is I want to see this, but him in an Eels jersey. I want to see him crying on Saturday night on Leichhardt Oval, but for the other team.
What's
That
your
was my
prediction?
whole point.
What's your prediction?
I think it's going to go the other way. I can see Mitchell Moses kicking a winning goal or a winning field goal to win the game.
I'd be ecstatic.
We'll have to
if
score
it's
some
that
points
close.
first.
You'd be ecstatic.
I'd be ecstatic if it's that close. If it's that close, I'd love it to go down to the 80th minute. I really do. I would love it to be close.
The bias in me is thinking Leichhardt. If there's something to lift the guys, but I mean the crowd might be shithouse, so the Leichhardt factor might not matter. So maybe
the real
maybe
bummer is if we lose this, we're back in last because the Titans get points for the bye.
That's
and their
motivation
for and against
as well.
is already better than ours.
Surely there's something in the players that think, guys, if we lose this, we're last on the table. How shit does that make us look? Like there's got to be some sort of fire, some sort of something within the players to not want to get embarrassed at Leichhardt Oval and end up being last place. Surely. Like I get that there's no semis or anything to play for, but yeah, they got to find some sort of pride to, us like fans, not just members, fans, all of thousands of us out there, give us something. Like, yeah, when we get the management above you, like doing a horrible job, but come on, guys, just give us some sort of pride, like something to not ruin our week with. It's just something, boys. But
The
I
common
think
thing,
I think they got the talent to do it. They just need the drive.
when we get 12 points behind or thereabouts, once we get a couple of scores, that's when the heads seem to drop. I don't like it. Hasn't been mad heroic efforts, but I think there's been a reasonable effort to a certain degree. Maybe the line speed could be better, etc. But last week they kind of defended the line pretty well for nearly 25 minutes. So I just feel when we're in the game, the scoreboard's close. It's not too bad, but it's just as soon as the game is out of reach or 12 the diff, the heads drop. It's just you just see it, and that's why I'd be happy if we get down to that 80th minute. I'd take that right now, but with a different result.
Which didn't happen while Madge was there, because we saw, even as they fell drastically behind in that first game against Manly at Lottoland, they never stopped giving up.
Yep, we got back into it, didn't we? We came back hard in the second half, and what did we do? We got to within a converted try, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we got to within 6 to 10 points or something, but then they ended up winning by 18, I think it was in the end. So they blew it out a little bit, but we kept it close for a lot.
Yeah, we got like back-to-back quick tries. We got it back to like a converted try, and then Stafford Toa, for some reason, ran the ball back from the kickoff and lost the ball immediately, and Alloway got his try. Like that was just, a forward should have been taking it up. Just, again, a basic fundamental that a team should, be organised with and have a big bopper take it up and not a little bloke carting it on the first, carry back. It's, anyway, crying over spilt milk.
I think Adam Doueihi, even though he's in the centres, I think him starting and playing 80 minutes is still a plus. So,
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it is. It's definitely. Hopefully, it's a step closer to getting him back at number 6.
Righto. So, next episode, we've been kind of all over the shop with days and not having our normal Monday, Thursday lately, and next week's or the next show will be Sunday night. So obviously we play Saturday night. We're doing Sunday night as my wife is having shoulder surgery on Monday. She is a UFC fighter, according to Gussie. So it's pretty common for Nada. She's just Oztag, a recurring Oztag injury. Funny enough, yeah. So I won't be able to do the show Monday. So we're going to come a day early and do Sunday night. So less than 24 hours after full time. We'll be live in the air. I don't think I've told you this yet, Aaron, but yeah, if you can make it as well for that show as well. But yeah, Sunday night 8:30. So thanks to everyone joining. Joining tonight, and yeah, as I'll see you in the Latcham Robinson stand on Saturday night. Rob, do you want no spoilers, Rob?
I'm fine, mate. I'm actually gonna have a Twitter free weekend. Although now that you said we're doing Sunday night, which I'd forgotten about, I'm gonna have to watch the game Sunday or late Saturday night. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I might even change my mind and drive down the Leichhardt. Not sure yet.
Okay. If you want, I got a ticket for you. If you want to come,
You've texted me with the free grade thing, so I might take you
Yeah.
up on it. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Sounds good.
Okay. As Brennan said, is OzTag the polar opposite of UFC. Funny enough, I've had more injuries with OzTag than any sport. I played 18 years of rugby league, and I have had more injuries from OzTag than I did from footy. And my wife's done a shoulder. My sister-in-law tore her finger. I've had mates do like ACLs. I've done my ACL playing OzTag. I don't know why, but OzTag. Your boys play OzTag as well, Rob. Have they had?
Yeah, they've had
injuries.
major injuries. Like
the same. They play the same. They play Homebush as well, like I did. Yeah, it's actually for whatever reason, and the doctors have said it to us. Apparently, OzTag is actually pretty bad for injuries. I don't know. I think in footy, because you brace yourself when it comes to contact, whereas OzTag, you kind of a bit more loose. I don't know why, but yeah, dangerous sport, OzTag. But yeah, all right, boys. As always, drop it in the comments, guys. I thought we'd get away for an hour again, but yeah, lots of great comments in the live tonight. So yeah, please join us Sunday night again, guys. All the regulars, see you all there. Thanks for the 3 Patreon subscribers who have joined us. They're in the Discord already, I believe. I saw them notifications come up. So yeah, patreon.com/WestsLife if you want to join us, boys and girls. We've got a girl, Rachel. Thank you for that. Yeah, but as always, guys, go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.